Welcome to Anime Out of Context, a comedy review show where a man completely immersed in anime culture torments his co-host, who is only allowed to watch the shows featured here. If you'd like to support the show, you can do so at patreon.com/animeoutofcontext. Alongside over 100 hours of exclusive bonus material, all episodes uploaded to Patreon are completely ad-free, even to non-patrons. Thank you for listening, and enjoy.
Hello and welcome to Anime Out of Context, the show where I attempt to explain the sometimes weird, sometimes wonderful, but always hilarious world of anime.
And I've gone over the numbers, and as it turns out, our audience is full of sadists.
I'm Sean Rollins.
I'm Remington Chase.
Boy, don't we know it. Rem. I feel like we started off on the wrong foot this new year.
Yeah, a little bit. That's probably accurate.
So, to make some amends, I'm gonna let you decide what we watch this week.
Oh, fuck. All right, here we go.
I've got two anime lined up for you.
Okay.
Two are very different from each other,
Okay.
both in genre and theming and scope, essentially.
All right.
Just to keep things interesting, you know? And I'm going to give you a single word
Oh,
for each one, and you're going to choose between those two words.
okay. All right. Okay.
It's one we've done before, but this one is very, very appropriate, I feel.
All right, hit me, baby,
All
one
right.
more time.
You'll recognize the theme immediately. You get to choose between Shakespeare
Cap.
and Picasso.
Shakespeare and Picasso.
And I'll even give you one question about each, as long as the question isn't obviously, what the fuck are we? What are they?
Sure. You know what? Let's. For my question will be the same for both, and give me a genre.
Okay. Genre for both. All right. For the Picasso, it is described as a visual arts drama.
Visual arts drama. Okay.
Whereas the Shakespeare one is considered a psychological urban fantasy suspense.
Ooh. Okay. Lots of intriguing ingredients in both of these.
Yeah, I mean, you're a fan of the arts, aren't you, Rem?
Yeah, I am.
Yeah, and we both know that we're big Shakespeare fans, but do you have any strong feelings on the works of Picasso or artists from his period?
Picasso just has all sorts of fascinating, very compelling stuff. Like fucking Guernica. Oh, Jesus Christ, that's messy and haunting and beautiful.
Which is how they describe us sometimes.
Use that as a pickup line in a bar. Hey, baby, are you Picasso's Guernica? Because you are messy, haunting, and beautiful.
I think I'd have a lot of success. Let me go down to the clubs and try that one out.
Fuck. Oh, man. Okay. All right. Okay. Here's the only thing making me hesitant.
Okay.
It's that I can see your finger on the scale a little bit, and that worries me. Because both very compelling, both very interesting, both have interesting ingredients. This is all true, but you've deliberately said Shakespeare. You've deliberately emphasized, like, suspense. And you know that those are little buzzwords in Remington's mind.
They are.
And obviously that does create a certain pull towards it. But me being aware that you are aware of that, and me being aware, not of you wildly tipping the scales, but just a little bit, you're influencing the scales a bit, and I recognize that, and then I'm forced to wonder, why? And then I start doing mind games with myself.
If only we had played a large number of social deduction games with each other. If only we did something like that.
Okay, all right. I do think that your finger's on the scale, but I don't think that it's done to punish me. I think it's because while you're down to cover either of these, you for some reason would have a slight preference for covering one of these. But also the ingredients sound just slightly more compelling, so I'm still gonna go with it. The first one, Shakespeare.
All right, Remington. I don't know how to feel about you accusing me of putting my finger on the scale a bit. But you are right about me having one of these shows that I would have much preferred to cover.
Yep.
And that would have been the Picasso choice. But hey, You can't always get what you want, but that's okay. So, Rem, you have decided Shakespeare, and we are locked in, and we are going in. The anime we're going to be talking about today is called Zetsuen no Tempest.
Okay.
Otherwise known in English as Blast of Tempest.
Okay.
All right. Any questions about that so far?
I'll blast your Tempest.
Okay, there it is.
Wait, but you wanted a question. I'll blast your Tempest? There you go.
You're uncertain. You're like, oh, man, this could be an innuendo, but what is a man's tempest? Well, maybe. If you read the original Shakespeare play, The Tempest, you'll find out. Because, Remington, the anime we're talking about today is actually loosely based off of 2 Shakespeare plays.
Okay, with Tempest is one of them.
Yep. And the other is Hamlet.
Okay, all right.
Yep. And Blast of Tempest. I forgot to eat today. Blast of Tempest is it's a 2012 anime.
Oh, no, wait, I want to choose the other one.
Nah, it's too late, I'm afraid. It's too late.
I don't want to be in the 2012 era.
Yeah, well, hey, the one you were missing out on, the anime which I attributed Picasso to, was an anime called Blue Period. And that was a 2021 anime that came out and was very beloved and heavily requested. So it's a bit of a bummer, but hey, you made the choice, so that's where we stand.
Wait. But, I mean, well, what if, I don't know, man, maybe Blue Period actually sounds pretty neat. Maybe it sounds rad. Maybe
it is.
Our decisions are ultimately meaningless, and so we don't need to put any stock into them.
I see what you're saying. But Remington, the face I imagine you're making is more of a Scream situation, and I don't think that's Picasso. So it's so I'm gonna have to disregard because you locked in on Shakespeare. The combination of genres were too intriguing to you. But
all
okay.
right. What are we getting?
Okay. So it is about our main 4 characters. Is the there are 4 main involved characters. They're the lads on the cover, essentially. It's about one of our main characters, Yoshino Takigawa, and he's doing something that is, as people from our generation would say, is against the bro code, and he is dating his best friend's younger sister.
I see.
Mm-hmm. And unfortunately, his younger sister mysteriously dies. And his best friend disappears after vowing to find out the one who killed his sister, and goes on a grand, psychological fantasy action adventure to try and figure out who did the murder. And it's about Yoshino trying to track my hero down to, stop him from going overboard on the whole revenge thing.
Okay.
And that is the simplest way I can describe the beginning. That is as simple as I can keep it, I'm afraid.
Okay.
Because there's a lot going on in this show.
Yeah. I feel mildly lost, just to touch already.
Rem, same.
All right, cool.
Yes,
cool.
It's a mystery about figuring out the truth behind the mysterious, fantasy truth behind this death. There's some guns involved. There may or may not be some other murder going on. It's just you might say it's a tempest of events.
Sure.
So really, Rem, what's going to happen is you're going to have to brush up on your Shakespeare and see what elements they use from The Tempest and Hamlet, and see if they implement them well into this story. And if it's a grand old time. You're going to watch 5 episodes of it because it's a 24-episode anime, and the more I give you, the more you'll have to work with.
Sure.
All right. So, unless you have any other questions, I think we should just get straight into it.
I mean, I have so many questions, but I figure they'll just hopefully be answered by watching.
Maybe. So without further ado, let's get straight into it. Let's go watch some Zetsuen no Tempest. And we are back after watching 5 whole episodes of the 2012 anime Zetsuen no Tempest, or Blast of Tempest. And tell me, Remington, as you and I are both aware, we're both big Shakespeare fans. So did this scratch your itch for the love of the bard, or are you feeling like you're partaking in your own tragedy at the moment?
Tomorrow and tomorrow creeps in this petty pace from day to day to the last syllable of recorded time. And all our yesterdays have lighted fools the way to dusty death. Out, brief candle. Life's but a walking shadow, a poor player that struts and frets his hour upon the stage, and then is heard no more. It is a tale told by an idiot, full of sound and fury, signifying nothing.
So, Rem, you loved it.
Sean?
Yes, Rem?
Is this what we plan to do with our one wild and precious life? Is this how we've decided to spend our time?
No, Rem. No, it's not. It's how I decided to spend your time.
Well, here's the thing, Sean. Here's the thing.
Yep.
Maybe you mentioned it in part one. Maybe you didn't. I didn't catch it in part one, probably because I was distracted by literally everything else. But even before you said it here in part two, I knew what year this came out. I felt it in my loins.
Yeah.
Yeah, it reeks of 2012 weebdom.
Oh, you don't say, Rem. You don't say. You're telling me that this wasn't, like, the best adaptation of a combination of the Tempest and Hamlet you could have hoped for?
First of all, it's just not. Second of all, here's one thing I will say about Blast of Tempest.
Okay.
All right? I have decried all the sawdust that has been fed to the weeps.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
But here's the thing. In this anime, this is not just a sawdust dinner plucked from the freezer ready to eat. This is some artisanal slop unearthed from, like, whatever was found in the debris of the garbage disposal and then plated oh so carefully and deliberately. Like, this is awful, but it's at least, like, awful in a bit of a different way, a bit of some unique ways.
So really, it was worth the experience, is what you're saying.
Would not go that far. Would not.
But Rem, it claims to be, a story based on, two stories from one of our favorite playwrights. How bad could it truly be?
Let's address the Shakespearean elephant in the room, shall we?
Okay.
But they do love to quote Shakespeare and occasionally, like, reference Shakespeare and stuff, right?
Yes.
It's done so badly.
Oh.
It's so awful every fucking time.
You would almost say that it's pointless.
Yes, pointless, shoehorned, it's unnatural and pretentious. And it's just, there's no reason for it to be there other than to be like, hey, look how clever and smart we are. And no, shut the fuck up. Stop, cease, please, no more. It's really not good. I can't think of a single time they had a Shakespeare quote or reference where I was like, well done. And here's the thing, they'll even have moments where they'll have, especially the protagonist, he'll, like, quote Shakespeare or something, right?
Right.
And some side characters will be like, wow, you're so smart. Look at you. Wow. Quoting Shakespeare, as we all know, only really smart people are capable of quoting Shakespeare, right, fellas?
And that's why you opened this part with Macbeth, right?
See, I'm aware that even dumbasses can quote Shakespeare. And thus I do. But within this show, it's so masturbatory. To an insane degree. And oh God. Here, I've made this comparison a couple times, Sean.
Right.
But I will forego all previous comparisons I've made in this avenue, in this branch.
Okay.
Because this eclipses them. And this is the David Cage anime.
Oh, man, that is a hell of an insult. It's been a while since you've dropped that one.
It has. And truly, there are times where I've thought that about certain anime until I found this one. And this is it. Because it has so many ideas. It wants to introduce Shakespeare. It wants to introduce biblical stories. It wants to introduce a magic system and weird backstory and governmental interference and all of these different things.
Mm-hmm.
And oh god, what a clusterfuck. And you're like, oh, any of those things could be quite interesting if sufficiently developed and explored.
Oh, yeah.
And it's like, nah, we're just gonna messily kind of throw all of it there and just you get to sort it out yourself. It's like, oh fuck. Oh shit. I think for the lovely listeners, especially those who are less familiar, let me tell everybody about the first episode. All right?
All right.
Strap the fuck in.
Oh, hey, buddy. I'm here. I'm ready.
All right, so we meet Mahiro, who we learn is a bit of a slacker best friend kind of character, and he's taking his sister Aika home. This other guy we see is a protagonist. I believe it's Aika, who says that he is a con artist and that he's just so capable of lying.
Yeah.
Does that go anywhere? Because it hasn't.
Kind of later, occasionally.
It was the character introduction for our protagonist.
Yeah, and you think they'd do something with that in the first, 5 episodes.
Yeah, they just don't really touch on it ever again thus far.
Yeah.
So we get that moment. Then, separate from that, another girl emerges from a barrel on a beach and curses this person, Samon. And it turns out she's a princess, but she can't use her magic, and she's stranded on an island that's been made invisible. And that's Hikaze, right?
That seems like a lot, Rem.
Back to our protagonist, Yoshino. And his best friend, Mahiro, has disappeared. And at school, they're asking Yoshino about it because, they were pretty close. And Yoshino, for some reason, thinks maybe Mahiro could be out killing somebody. He gets beat up by some bullies just because that's what they do, I guess. We get a kind of flashback to Aika, the sister, blaming Yoshino for the fights that he and his brother get into. Then back to what's going on now. Yoshino visits Mahiro's family cemetery, and he gets visited by this woman, Yamamoto, who threatens him at gunpoint and maybe like a government agent or something.
Mm-hmm.
And we learn that Aika, Mahiro's sister, she's dead, actually. She was murdered somehow. And and oh no, is Yoshino about to die too? No, a bunch of butterflies swarm around, distract Yamamoto, so she doesn't shoot. And then, before she can do anything else, Mahiro shows up, and he makes a save using magical powers, where he flies in and does a magical knee, and uses a force field to block her bullets. And then he takes her down, but doesn't kill her. And then we're told, oh no, the city has been infected by black iron syndrome, and everybody is metallicizing. It's spread throughout the city. Because this mysterious family, what we will later learn to be the Kusaribe clan or something like that, I don't know, they are trying to awaken something. As it turns out, we will learn they are trying to awaken the Tree of Exodus. Mahiro can chat through Barrel Girl, Hikaze, through a doll, and she is helping him find his sister's killer. Then a vortex emerges from the ocean, and a bunch of butterflies surround it, and the Colt family, they grow a red tree, and then from the vortex, a chained rock that emerges from the ocean, just this huge motherfucker, right? Many buildings wide. It's a big boy. And then the chain rock opens its eye. That's episode 1.
Hey, Rem.
Yup.
You just gave me flashbacks to when my nephew was 4, and he would just tell me stories about the things that he wants to happen.
Yeah, where
and I glazed over everything.
Where it's very stilted and in like a very confusing way to tell a story. It's like I'm getting all the elements, don't get me wrong, right?
Yes.
But I'm having to expend way more cognitive effort than is necessary, and I'm down to extend some cognitive effort to be like, ooh, what an intriguing puzzle you've set forth. But this is just okay, so okay, this is what's going on, I think, and that's less fun of a way to use that mental processing.
Well, I mean, hey, if that was all 5 episodes you watched, I mean, at least they spread it out evenly.
Unfortunately, just the one. Sean.
Oh, just the one.
Just the one.
That's interesting. With how much you said, that seems like a bit much to fit into 22 minutes.
It does, and it's crazy to have that be the opener. So things we know about our characters, all right? Let's take a step back and let's talk about the characters just so people have a grounding. We have Yoshino. He's a bit stoic. All right, that covers his character. Mahiro, he's also stoic, but sometimes he gets angry. Hakaze she's magic, okay? And then the sister is mysterious and stoic. So that sums up. The characters none of them really care that they're in like an apocalyptic scenario. They are all wildly apathetic. And here's the thing. The show kind of knows that one of them is apathetic. The show will occasionally call out the protagonist Yoshino being like, man, how does he keep his cool? Nobody has lost their cool. Not a soul. Everybody's just like, yeah, well, everybody has turned into metal. It's just how it goes, I guess. It
happens to the best of us, really.
That's just the magic. Yes, hundreds of people have turned into metal, that's true, and the government's trying to hide it. That's just how it goes.
I mean, the government does like to hide things.
And yeah, they do not care, but then they'll occasionally be like, isn't it crazy that Yoshino doesn't care? And then in like episode 5, they meet somebody else, right? And Yoshino has the fucking audacity to be like, man, this guy, he's disturbingly calm. Coming from the man who's never expressed an emotion. Like, just give me fucking something to latch onto here. Please, dear God. It's all right. So the characters aren't great. The characters are fucking. Oh wait, but there's also the villain, Samon, who is he's a methodical, stoic villain.
That seems. Hey, Reb, that's supposed to be different from the character, yeah? The main character.
No, but he sent a couple of his soldiers to attack, right? So we have Trenchcoat Spear Guy and sort of like Trust Fund Edgelord, and their thing is that they are pretty competent and they keep their cool. I don't know why they despise having characters show emotion. It's such a baffling choice, especially because the way some of the times the characters, like, they'll make observations and you'll be like, is that how it is? We do see emotion, kind of, from the main two boys when we get flashbacks to when they were little kids, very little kids, but that's about it. Also, I do, just with the first episode, a few things I need to bring up. So Mahiro, right, this best friend who sometimes gets angry, that's as far as it goes. At one point, he says this stupid ass line.
Ooh, I know which line.
he says, I don't care if the world crumbles to ashes, but I will save the world. What do you mean? What are you talking about? Look, man, the world can burn for all I care, but I'm gonna save it. What do you think you're saying? What do you think is being communicated with this?
Well, Rem, people die when they're killed.
And it's at the end of the first episode, we get the OP, right?
Yeah.
We get the opening song. It goes at the end of first episodes. That's how it goes. And holy shit, it's bad.
Mm-hmm.
If this was released, like, if this had been released this year, I would assume it was created by one of the AI song generators.
Oh, yeah.
Because that's how it feels. It's a Japanese band, right?
Mm-hmm.
But they've decided to do the lyrics in English, which can be fine.
Oh yeah, no. There are some great songs that use English to like the utmost effect.
But the translation is clearly just not really good. But okay, hey, I'd even be okay with that if it's just like satisfying to the ears, right? And maybe it doesn't make complete sense, but it's just satisfying with how it sounds. Well, terrible fucking news. There's one part of this song, and it's one of the first lines that is possibly the worst part of any OP I've literally ever heard.
Yep.
At one point, there's just the line in the song, "You move on with your fist and your legs." What? I don't know what's being communicated here. I don't know what, like, meter they thought they were following. What's going on here? What's happening? It's baffling. It's baffling is what it is. This show as a whole, right?
Right.
We'll get into the other 4 episodes in less depth, but we'll get to them. This show as a whole, somebody let him cook and somebody let him burn. It's overcooked. It's overcooked like a motherfucker.
Yeah.
Which is why I feel like a David Cage comparison is fair, because it's just like, oh man, you needed somebody to rein this the fuck in. In episode 2, we get some lovely exposition dumps, right? And they thought it would be natural for the characters to, like, fill each other in off screen a little bit, which can be done. And it's like, yeah, they're probably having conversations like that off screen, and that saves us from having to endure those exposition dump moments. Except then they just decide to have the exposition dumps anyway, except now framed under, and I always hate when it's framed this way, yes, all of this exposition, that you told me. Or alternatively, yes, all of this exposition that we both already know. Motherfucker, you didn't need to, like, have them talk about it off screen. You could have just them talk about it for the first time, or even better, just have good exposition. But there's an apocalypse. It's all fucked, right? This big chain rock eyeball. They're being summoned and converging for the baddies.
Yep.
We learn that the princess, the Barrel Princess, was the leader of the clan, but because of a power struggle and falling for Samon's trap, was sent to the island, but is still, like, the most powerful mage around. We learn about talismans, which are just any trinket, basically any object that can be activated, has magical power imbued within it. And we're told they have limited use, okay? And that could be interesting. Limited use. Here's the issue with that, right? They have so many miscellaneous trinkets, and we're not told, like, how many uses any of them have, or, like, what constitutes a use, or just, like, how much power, if it's, like, just a general gradual meter, just, like, how much can be used. And so thus far, we've seen a bunch of trinkets, like, break, or, like, a bunch of rings, and then you just put on another one and you're good to go, and they just have plenty. And I'm sure at some point they'll be like, oh, we ran out. But it's difficult as an audience member to know, like, what the stakes are when you're like, I don't know, they probably have more rings. Oh, is that one close to breaking? I don't know. I have no idea. Maybe that ring is full of magic. Maybe it's nearly empty. Maybe they have more rings. They seem to have a lot. Or maybe they're almost out. I'm clueless. So why even have them be limited use? Why? You could just be like, hey, don't even bring up the limited use, and then in episode fucking 10 or some shit, when they use one of the talismans to go God mode, then they go God mode, but then it's spent, and they're like, oh no, it's not working anymore, and then the fucking Barrel Princess will be like, oh yeah, that's because you went balls to the wall with it, so you spent it all up. It's really stupid. It's really stupid.
Mm-hmm.
We get some fights. The fight scenes are okay. That's about all I can say. They have some decent moments.
Yep.
Not super consistently, but they are there. Episode 3, some more fights. Military helicopters come and blow up the tunnels all around town to quarantine the city. I don't really understand why the city needs to be quarantined, because I don't know what it's accomplishing. Like, they're trying to hide. The government is apparently trying to hide this syndrome or whatever.
A little hard to do when everybody's literally turning to metal.
But yeah, like, just about everyone is metal, and so I just don't. Also, I feel like this is just on me. I feel like syndrome is just not the right word to use here. I feel like you just plucked something vaguely medical there, but it doesn't feel appropriate. But that's fine. That's very pedantic.
Yeah, I mean, it's like, how people call, like, when high school seniors get tired, they call it senioritis, when really, like, the translation of that would be the swelling of the senior. It just doesn't really make a lot of sense.
But I feel like in this case it could have just call it the Black Iron Curse, right?
Yeah.
I mean, just
because I mean, like, it is very clearly a curse. Like, you don't need to hide.
It is in no way. Yeah, you don't need to pretend it's science-y. It's not. We do learn that. So there's 2 trees. Okay, there's the tree of Genesis, which is all about logic, order, creation, protection, and then there's the tree of Exodus, which is all about chaos and destruction. And the tree of Genesis is the one that Barrel Princess has her powers from. So we learn just these general things. And you can expend man-made objects to get greater power from the tree of Genesis. Which I feel.
Now, was that in Hamlet or Tempest?
No, that one was all Tempest,
I see.
So
you confused me by
imagine...
starting this part with a Macbeth monologue, so I was just, I just wanted to make sure. I wanted to make sure I wasn't losing my touch with Shakespeare.
So I think there might be something later how, like, the tree of Genesis, because it's all about order, it may be about the natural order of things and maybe trying to, like, reclaim the man-made chaos or something like that.
Yes, that is accurate.
And then they'll be like, fuck the thing we get our powers from, we need to be able to reel it in too.
Yes.
And then maybe it'll look directly into the camera and be like, see, we need a balance of order and chaos. And then they'll have a Shakespeare quote and everyone will be like, oh my god, you're so fucking smart.
And there are 24 episodes of this.
Oh god. They also oh wait, so at one point they're fighting trench coat spear, right?
Right.
Those are his traits. He has a trench coat, he's got a spear.
Correct.
And the way that the tree of Genesis, the magic from that can be used is defensive or mobility, right? You can go super fast or you can create barriers. And trenchcoat spear is using it to put a field around his spear and charge like a motherfucker so that he is an insane battering ram of death and destruction. And at one point, I think it's the Barrel Princess who's, like, explaining this, and it's so fucking stupid. It's like, oh, no, you see, there's no, like, destruction magic from the Tree of Genesis. This isn't destruction magic. It's just speed and force that just, like, happens to be destructive. It's, like, coincidental. Tree Genesis don't know.
It's very...
What the Tree of Genesis don't know won't hurt it, all right? It's a loophole, all right? It's like having anal and you're still a virgin. It's God doesn't know. Or soaking. It's soaking, and it's like God can't see what's going on there. Similarly, Tree of Genesis has no idea you're trying to kill somebody with speed and force. It has no clue.
I hate to stop you there, but I don't want our podcast to be where people figure out what soaking is.
Hey, I haven't described it. It's up to them to Google it.
Well, that's the problem, is they're like, what the fuck is soaking? And they're going to Google it, and they're going to be like, this podcast is the worst. I blame them for this cursed knowledge.
Hey, if it helps, I feel like it's pretty publicly known nowadays.
You'd be surprised how many times I've had to explain it, Rem.
Why are you going around talking about soaking all the time, Sean? What kind of parties you attended?
Purpose, Rem. I happened to share a clip from a Dropout show where that was one of the joke premises, and all my out-of-state friends were like, so what's soaking? And I'm like, oh, no. Oh, wait, hold on. Hold on.
Sean, not doing it on purpose. Sean, the accidental soaker.
Okay.
So,
hey, Rem. Rem, I know what I do is clearly in the eyes of the god, and he's all for it.
So, the main mystery of what's been going on is who killed the friend's sister, right? Who also, sister and Yoshino, they were boyfriend and girlfriend, but keeping it from friend because he's protective.
Which, I mean, if you want a surefire way for your friend to turn on you and hate you, it's keeping your relationship with his, precious sibling's secret,
Oh, yeah.
Like that's like I feel like if you're my friend and you want to date my sister, you should just be straight up with me. And it's not like you need my permission. It's like a thing between you and the sister,
Yeah. So yeah, here's my speculation. All right.
Right.
My speculation started in episode 1, was reinforced and slightly modified in episode 3, and then I'm gonna lock in some details by episode 5. So they mentioned the killer's part of the clan, right? And thus far, the only person we know is from the clan is the Barrel Princess. So it could be her, but I don't think it's going to be her.
Yeah.
I think it could also just be like the main bad guy, but I mean, it can't be the main bad guy. I swear to God, if like in the final confrontation where they're already fighting the main bad guy, if the main bad guy is just like, oh, also, I killed your sister. Like, that would be dog shit. So I'm gonna give them the benefit of the doubt.
What a twist! The bad guy did a bad thing.
What a twist. One possible twist they could have is have it be Yoshino, right?
Right.
But initially it was like a possibility, but they've let us too far into Yoshino's headspace. And I feel like it basically confirms, no, he didn't do it. And we're quickly running out of possible candidates, Sean.
Yeah.
Obviously, you can't tell me whether I'm right or wrong, but here is my audacious prediction. All right.
Okay.
My big fucking brain prediction, seeing through the Matrix and or getting it horrendously wrong, and maybe it's just the fucking big bad and I look real stupid.
The wrinkliest of conclusions.
If it's just the big bad, I look as stupid as the show does, all right? That's just how it goes.
Hey, consolation prize, eh?
my big brain prediction, the sister, Aika, she's actually a secret member of the clan. She has magic powers or whatever, right? Okay. And she... Maybe it's like, twins divided at birth, they're both princesses or some dumb fucking shit if you want to add dumb lore.
You mean more than they have already added?
Oh, God. They fucking love this stuff even when it doesn't make sense. So maybe sister was magical and like part of the clan or something. And she, like, maybe she faked her death because it seems like they imply that the sister seems to like just be more aware of just the going-ons. Not in the magical sense, but just generally. And so maybe she like faked her death to orchestrate something and was like, I need to like piss off my brother and motivate Yoshino to stop the end of the world or some shit. And for some pretty fucking stupid reason, this is the best way to do that. That's my big brain prediction, all right? She faked her own death.
Interesting.
She's the one responsible, and she did it to in what the show will inevitably think is a really big brain play.
I see. And of course, I can't tell you how close or how far away you are.
Yep.
Because, who knows, maybe people like this episode so much they want us to revisit.
No, please, dear God, no.
I mean, I for one, enjoyed the opening Shakespeare monologue, and I'm sure a lot of your fans are going to really enjoy it if you catch my meaning.
Sure. So, we get some, like, in episode 4 and stuff, flashbacks to when they were kids and how they became friends, and basically, you had it where Mahiro was a spoiled brat who was super smart and picked a fight with a bunch of kids. Yoshino was around.
I mean, that is what he does best.
I cannot emphasize, he does so little. Eventually, little kid Yoshino was assigned to help out Mahiro after Mahiro was almost killed and ran over by a rogue motorcyclist, right? As this is happening, little tiny kid Mahiro is like, who has to be at most like 9 years old, maybe younger. But he's like, listen here, Yoshino, kid who I have never interacted with. But here's the deal. I know exactly what's going on. You see, the motorcyclist who was running from the cops because they mugged someone and got caught. They actually mugged someone and purposefully got caught by the police so that he could accidentally, quote unquote, run into me, but it was actually intentionally wanted to kill me, and it was all a ruse. Because the only way you could possibly try to kill a child is by mugging someone, purposefully getting caught, being chased by the police. That's the only way to do it. And I have rock solid evidence for this. Vibes. The way he looked at me, I was like, I don't know, not getting good vibes off that one. I wish I was exaggerating more than I actually was.
Oh no, you're being completely accurate, and it's almost like the person who wrote this story. I think it was actually 2 people who wrote this manga.
Oh fuck!
And a third who was the artist, if I remember correctly.
No.
That were like, oh man, we want to tell a complex story with dark themes, but somebody just up and killing a kid. No way, that you can't just do that. Don't be ridiculous.
Sean, they think they're so smart, and it's
yeah.
they really think.
Why do you think they chose Shakespeare as a motif, my guy? Who do you choose when you want to sound smart?
It hurts. It really, truly hurts. But then, once they solve that and get that all handled, right? Well, he tells Yoshino about that, and then the day later, Yoshino shows up and is like, all right, I've solved it. I know exactly who was responsible. Your driver was responsible, and it was his associate that did that. And here's all the reasons why. They're 9 at most, because as we know, Mihiro skipped school 4th grade and onward. And so at the highest age they could be is around 9. And they're already solving murders with ease because, God, I don't know if you're aware, Sean, but they're just so smart.
It's very much an Armin situation, isn't it?
Oh, so much. And then how the little flashback ends is Yoshino makes up a story in one of his essays that he's reciting to the class about how Mihiro tried to save a puppy, and then the whole class decides Mihiro is no longer scary. He tried to save a puppy. We all love him now. And then they all applaud and the teacher cries.
Yeah, because no psychopaths are nice to animals.
I'm losing it. How they put in an everyone applauds scene with not a touch of awareness. And it just, they're like, yeah, I mean, these characters, they're just so darn good. Why wouldn't everybody think that they're the coolest thing of all time?
You can't even use the time period as an excuse because that was cliche in the 90s.
Yeah, oh God, it hurts me. We finally get to episode 5, and there's another fight and some more drama and a new person, and things also get like really weirdly horny, especially this episode.
Mm-hmm.
They meet with an acquaintance of Barrel Princess, and it requires an extremely horny password that is also just like tonally inconsistent with everything.
Yeah.
It's like the only good boobs are ones that can bounce or something like that.
Yeah.
And it's like, what the fuck are we? What? Like I could even understand if it was something a little tongue in cheek, right, or something like that. What the fuck is this tone? What the fuck? Where'd this come from? And at one point in a flashback, Barrel Princess, how she got tricked by someone is some kids lured her into a river, I guess. I don't know. They just lured her somewhere. And then Big Bad and his cronies show up, and the kids are like, do they want to see you naked? Why are we doing this? Why?
The answer is, Rem, it's a story from writers who are trying to do everything, especially in the 2012 era. Trying to be adult without understanding how to tell an adult story.
It was pushing plausibility because every time it shows Barrel Princess, all she's doing is sitting at the island. She has not done a single thing besides she talks through the doll, and she's at the island, occasionally in the water, in skimpy tatters, and occasionally the camera will just pan up her body.
Yep.
And but maybe there's plausible deniability there. They lost it here.
Yeah, no. This is classic 2012 horniness for horniness sake, and it's not good.
And once again, it just really doesn't even fit with what they're going for.
Because that's the one thing Shakespeare was known for is excessive amounts of bad, horny jokes.
I mean, you can have there's all sorts of lovely horny shit in Shakespeare, and it's often done either cleverly or amusingly or both, right? One, the other, or both. Not all of it's highbrow, a lot of it's lowbrow, and often when it's lowbrow, it's just a good time.
Yep. I mean, read The Taming of the Shrew and you'll get it.
Yeah, because it's still like well crafted, even when it's a bit lower brow. But this is just trash. It's trash all the way through. But man, it really thinks it's something. This show thinks it's the second coming, and I wouldn't be surprised if we got some symbolism of that.
Hey,
It's
Rem,
just.
I said I wouldn't give you any spoilers, but oh yeah.
I don't even know. They talk about how the Tree of Genesis, their magic is used to like correct logic and protect logic. What does that even mean? What are you talking about?
Just correcting and protecting logic, Rem. I don't know what's
Maybe that could be an interesting idea if you like explored. You're like, all right, what does it mean if the laws of logic were broken, and what does it mean to live in a truly irrational, illogical universe? But they don't. They're using it as just a synonym for order. It's just order versus chaos. That's all it is, to be abundantly clear.
Yeah.
But they just use some random ass synonyms a lot of the time.
And hey, I love a good order versus chaos story, you know?
Yeah.
Like fucking Elden Ring is one of my favorite video games, and it's all about order and chaos.
Yeah, it's a decent dynamic. But man, it's fucked up here. This show, once again, I mean, hey, at least it's something that I'm able to critique. Once again, this is not a Sawdust show, right?
No.
It is just as bad, if not worse, than many Sawdust shows. But it's bad in specific, unique ways. Like, this was deliberately crafted. It wasn't just mass manufactured. It was deliberately crafted and still ended up being so shit.
Yeah.
It's like when I watch an M. Night Shyamalan film and I'm like, man, he is so thoughtful in what he crafts, and it's so bad in interesting ways.
Oh yeah. I mean, don't get me wrong. Shyamalan has his moments.
Yeah, sure. And I can appreciate the auteurs of shit, right?
Yeah.
Because they're fun to at least hate, at least in part. Not super fun to watch sometimes, but like, hey, it's fun to tear them apart.
Yeah, I mean, and hey, everybody always references, The Sixth Sense, like, so.
Here's my hot take: overrated.
I mean, yeah, of course it's overrated, Rem. It's one of the first, like, big major twists in, like, semi-horror media that everybody knows and recognizes. It's a good twist, but it's also a twist that, if you are any good at paying attention to any kind of context clues and what the story is about itself, you can figure it out pretty easy.
Well, and then it's like, it's easy to just think that, like, oh, well, okay, so with the Sixth Sense, we're going to do a Sixth Sense right now, all right?
Yeah, let's do it. Go on.
Sixth Sense falls apart in the second half. It's a goddamn mess.
Correct, yes.
At one point, I don't know if any of you remember, there's this little girl ghost who has been poisoned, as we learn, and everything surrounding it is so silly and contrived. So the little boy, the protagonist, he's able to figure out what happened to her because very conveniently she was recording herself being poisoned. That's the simplest way to put it. Yep, she was recording herself being poisoned, and the tape was kept, and then okay, now we know where to find the tape, and he unveils it to everybody. He's like, ha, and then that moment's over, and it's a weirdly like self-contained subplot.
Mm-hmm.
Where there's not much before, there's nothing about it really after, and it's also just silly and dumb and contrived as all hell, and I don't.
I mean, like, Rem, you've pointed out the key thing, because when you ask people what they remember about The Sixth Sense, it's always the one scene, and that's it.
Yes,
that is all anybody ever talks about.
Though the one twist is pretty good. Sixth Sense also falls in the category, as a lot of M. Night Shyamalan does, and as this anime does, it's self-indulgent. At least Sixth Sense, it's slightly deserving. It's like, hey, I got something pretty decent here, right? Whereas something like Blast of Tempest, they believe that. They believe they got something. But man, the story is a goddamn mess. There's no elegance. The pacing is horrible. The characters are bland. The dialogue is borderline nonsensical at times. I don't give a shit about the relationships, the lore that they're trying to drop, and all the themes and motifs. It's fucking horrendous. It is a dumpster fire. It's a clusterfuck. It's so atrocious. It's so scrambled. There's very few like truly positive things I can say about it. Once again, some of the fight sequences have some good moments. And then other fight sequences, they're fighting in an aquarium and they like, oh, surprise, we flood the water and we can electrocute the water to get you. But like the enemies have force fields, so wouldn't they just be able to force field and block the electrocution? Wouldn't that be how that works? Or if it's not how it works, why? Is electricity the ultimate weakness to the force fields? Is that how that works? I don't know. Man, anytime I think about any element of this show, I just start bubbling up inside. I just need to some release.
Yeah, hey, Rem, would you like the perspective of a guy who is obsessed with niche lore, magic systems, you know, the complexities of good fantasy?
Sure.
It's a fucking mess, dude. They didn't think it through. It's a fucking mess and they didn't think it through. And look, I can defend some pretty extreme lore magic system bullshit. Dog, there's no system here.
Here's the fucked thing, Sean.
Yep.
So it was released in 2012.
Correct. The anime was.
Yeah. I am absolutely clueless as to what its rating is going to be.
Well, then let's go straight into it, Rem. Let's try and figure it out. What do you think the rating could be for this one?
Okay, so I'm going to start with a weird... Normally, I'm able to, like, start with a range and work within that range, right?
Right.
I'm kind of doing the opposite. I'm going to take a range and eliminate that range.
Okay.
I think it's not 7.2 to 7.8. I think it's either lower or higher. But I don't know which.
You think it's either rated incredibly shittily, or for some reason there's a subsection of weebs that fucking adore this show.
Yes. Especially, so here's the thing. It's bad. It's terrible. It's a confusing little mess. It's jumbled and fucked. And so it would make sense for the weeps to not like that, right? Mm-hmm. Especially, I could see a lot of people after the first episode being like, what the fuck was that? And just tuning out. On the other hand, this was 2012. And a lot of weebs are attracted to the aesthetic of intelligence, which this show has.
Right.
I don't think this is a very smart show, but it presents itself as such, yeah. And so I think a lot of weebs who also would like to engage in the aesthetics of intelligence may be tempted to, like, go towards there. Oh God. I think if it were released today, I would go on the lower end because it's a 2012 in the Dark Ages. I'm gonna, oh God, oh no. I'm like reckoning with my own reasoning.
Would you like me to tell you some examples of some anime that we've covered that released in the same season?
No, I know the ballpark. All right.
Okay.
I know.
All right.
I know it's a rough time where who the fuck knows what the weebs were thinking. Oh no, this is gonna, I think, I'm worried, Sean, because I'm convincing myself that a lot of weebs, like, think this is some peak fucking cinema. That this is just, I think, oh no, do I really think that a sizable portion of weeb in their nostalgic memories and just when they watched it so long ago were like, oh man, look how smart and innovative this is. Because it's not sawdust, so it would have stood out a little bit, and it pretends to be intelligent, which could seduce people. Oh, fuck. Oh, fuck. All right, I'm not gonna let myself say above an 8. I can't. Mm-hmm. Weebs. Oh, God, I would be less surprised than I should be if it's above an 8, but I can't manifest that into the world. I'm gonna say a 7.91, and I'm terrified that I'm correct. I'm hoping you say it's a fucking 6.4. Obviously, everyone thought it was a bad mess. That's what I'm hoping you tell me.
Okay, so that's your final answer?
Yeah, that's my final answer.
All right.
Tell me that I am so wrong.
Well, Rem, my perspective isn't what we need to talk about. So, Rem, Zetsue no Tempest, or Blast of Tempest, has had a grand total of 265,000 ratings.
Fucking hell.
And, ooh, buddy.
Oh no. If I think I'm right, or that I undershot it, and that's crazy.
Well, with those ratings, Zetsue no Tempest is sitting nice and pretty at 7.
Okay, all right.
0.89.
Holy shit! Oh fuck!
You overshot it, but not by much. And let me just tell you right now. The top reviews are all from 2012 and 2013 when this first aired. So, and all of the positive reviews are exactly what you would expect. Lots of people have been like, "Oh man, these quotes, these."
The quotes are all used so fucking bad.
I agree.
Like, and it's sometimes it'll very vaguely fit, like, the actual thing that it's quoting and, like, the message of the quote. Other times, they just quote Shakespeare, just to put it out there.
Well, hey, let me just tell you, this, the top suggested recommended review, and to their credit, they did write a full review, but they open it with, ahem, what's past is prologue. The Tempest, William Shakespeare. And if that doesn't tell you exactly the vibe of people who love this show.
Guys, look, I adore Shakespeare, all right? Shakespeare,
same.
It's some of my favorite shit. It's so good. I love the Bard. Y'all, y'all, you can't do this. You can't be like this.
Yeah, like, here, let me read you their closing remark on it. While Blast of Tempest occasionally falls short of absolute excellence in its willingness to allow characters to fill roles, it presents a story of past entanglements that is very well realized and non-contradictory, with a cast that synergizes their different viewpoints 9 out of 10.
What the fuck? Did we watch the same show?
I mean, in fairness, you watched 5 episodes, they watched all 24.
Yeah, I'm sure this really fucking picks up after the 18th episode. Oh, baby, then it really hits its stride.
Oh, actually, hold on. They don't list how many episodes they watched on this one, so they might not have seen all 24 episodes. I didn't realize that you could hide that option.
They heard the Shakespeare quote that said in the first, like, minute, and they were like, there we go, that's all I need, baby.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
Hey, at least it was lower than you thought.
It was, technically speaking, lower than I thought.
Yeah, no, and the people who hated it pointed out literally everything you've said.
Oh, at least there's some people who see it. Because sometimes I'll give a bunch of critiques and there's just nobody saying those things.
Yeah.
And that I'm always like, y'all have lost your mind. At least there's, even if it's a minority, there's some people.
Oh yeah, like one of the highest rated negative reviews from that time say that one of the biggest issues of the show is, my God, what's with all the fucking random ass quote dropping?
Well, and the problem is that that's like a major selling point of the show, right? And so, look, it's all right to have some random Shakespeare quotes. Honestly, in my opinion, you should have gone balls to the wall and had every single line be a Shakespeare quote.
Like a full-ass adaptation of both of the plays that they wanted to emulate.
From the entire works of Shakespeare, all right? You're not adapting anything, but, and you allow yourself lines from anywhere, and they don't need to follow the line that would come next, right?
But you're just grabbing quotes and telling a story with only the quotes.
Yeah, basically
a Shakespearean fucking Mad Lib is what you're saying.
Yeah, take every Shakespearean line, all right? Separate them from their context, and that's your roster of dialogue. You can occasionally give minor tweaks or have very minor lines that aren't Shakespeare, but for the most part, you are figuring out how to take all of these different lines and craft them into a new narrative with a crazy new context. That could be dope. That'd be weird as hell, and I could vibe with it, right? It's like I feel like a lot of people are like, oh man, the Shakespeare so good, and it's like, but it's not doing anything here.
No.
Like they aren't using it for anything.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's baffling to me. The whole thing is baffling.
You want to know what the funniest part about this whole thing is, Rem?
It depends if it'll make me hurt inside.
I mean, you'll get a little bit of Schadenfreude from our audience.
All right.
We already got reviews about our Blue Box episode. They enjoyed it for the most part. But a lot of them were like, "Oh man, I thought this was going to be Blue. Period."
God damn it!
So really, we've cucked them 2 weeks in a row.
Hey, look, we're still waiting for the first good anime of 2025 to be covered on the podcast, right? The first thing I enjoyed, the spot is still open.
Yeah,
Still wide open.
Oh, yeah. You know? And hey, maybe next week it'll be filled, because after all, Remington, as a little bit of a New Year's treat for you, it's going to be a short form anime.
I like how you're like, New Year's treat. Going into like the third week of January.
I mean, everybody knows that the new year is just the whole month of January, right?
Oh, okay. That's
because I mean, look, you also got the Chinese New Year in February to think about.
Oh,
so
you're just splitting the difference, is what you're doing.
Yeah, exactly. You know, I'm trying to be inclusive of all cultures, Rem.
Unlike, you're just
people.
Particularly culturally aware, is what's going on.
Exactly. You know, I just want to make sure that everybody feels included.
Sure.
We're very inclusive here at Anime Out of Context. Says the two white straight podcasters, you know?
Hell yeah, brother.
Look, that's all we can be, unfortunately. So, with that in mind, I guess the final question I need to ask you, Rem, is there any chance you'd want to come back and watch some more Blast of Tempest?
I think the only enjoyment I could get from this show is, like, I would listen to a video essayist who has like watched all of it, tear it apart. I'd watch that.
What, you don't want to be that video essayist?
Look, man, I'm all about horror. This isn't horror. It's just horrific. That's a bit different. It's not really my niche, unfortunately.
Aren't you the guy who says that thriller is just softcore horror?
Well, it can be. Thriller is a bastardization genre. It's not always a bastard of horror, though it commonly is. Sometimes it's a bastard of mystery and action and drama, right? Basically take mystery, action, drama, and horror, choose at least 2 of them, but possibly up to 4, mix them up, and then you have thriller. Thriller, and what makes it a bastard genre is it doesn't need to be the same mix. If it was the same mix, then maybe we'd be able to define it more properly. And I don't even hate thrillers, all right? Things that are labeled as thrillers, I tend to quite enjoy. I enjoy the bastard genre, but it's a bastard genre.
Well, hey, Rem, I've always thought of you as my favorite bastard drama.
That's what I'm here for.
Well, Rem, with that in mind, thank you all so much for tuning in. We really appreciate it. If you enjoy Rem being just absolutely baffled by a bastardization of one of his favorite things, then please head on over to wherever you get your podcast and leave us a review. They mean the world to us, and we do read every single one. And if that is still not enough for you, twitch.tv/anime-of-context, where myself, Dylan, and Remington occasionally play video games very poorly. And if that is still not enough for you, patreon.com/anime-out-of-context, where you gain access to all kinds of lovely bonus material, including having the opportunity to be thanked live on the podcast. So, Rem, who are we thanking this week?
Well, as always, we'd like to send our regards to all of our bland bitch protagonists, as well as our magical girls, who we really appreciate. But moving on, we get to our yandere waifus, who, through the powers of speed and force fields, are absolutely destroying us, but it's not technically destruction. And on that list we have 010, Yokeling Hokel, Yandere Neko, Wolfire 56, Where's Our DBZ Review, You Ginger Fuck, Wes Kane. Welcome to Anime in Full and Complete Context, the show where watching Requiem for Spoon Man at 0.5 speed. Waiting for Rem to like sports anime, says Misuka. You'll be waiting a while. Variant, totally good. Titan CNH. The Susanator. The Spoon Man's Thousand Island Stare. The sheer audacity of this man, agrees Misuka. The Flying Spaghetti Monster. The Danish Viking will conquer the world with Roronoa Zoro as my navigator. The Capybara says, Baby Shark do-do-do-do, Baby Shark do-do-do-do. The bird's name is Cat, Misuka says, bemused at her own joke. That time I reincarnated as a podcast host and forced to weep. That smut has no place in Fairy Tale's 100 Girlfriends. Turban. Sweden is not cold, it's only negative 25 degrees Celsius, says Misuka. Super Zoo. Strife 54849 is asking nicely for Demon Slayer revisit so Rem can see episode 19. P.S. Sean, it's because of your bad salt, and then it cuts off. I don't know. Bad saltine crackers.
I did have a very old package of saltine crackers when I moved, so I was like,
never trust Sean's saltine crackers, all right? If Sean goes up to you and he's like, hey, do you want some saltine crackers? He has ulterior motives, all right? The crackers are not what you think. Stacy's a mom. Show Rem Black Lagoon already, you cunt, says Misuka. Sean's morning routine, beard brushing, ASMR, 12-hour loop. If it's a loop, that's not just his morning routine, he's just trapped there. Sean wants to give Spoon Man a thank you. Sean, show Rem Kaguya-sama dubbed in My Life Is Yours. Sean, which do you like more between Otonoke and Bling Bang Born? Hashtag One Nut Rollins.
Christ almighty. To answer your question, Otonoke.
Hashtag One Nut Rollins, ladies and gentlemen.
Stop it.
Always happy to start another. Sean ruined my happy sugar life when he read all of Moby Dick while I drowned in sperm oil. Sean cut my hand off in practice, says Misuka level 6. Seraphim the Shark Plushie, Ryan Moody, Ross Palmer, Rhiannon Williams. Remington used the Deer Crackers of Liberation. Remington is right. Rem next year do 12 days of munting Shawnee Boy. Rem used the drums of Liberation to free all weeps from bad anime. Rem hit rock bottom is still on top of Sean. Rem doesn't completely hate my favorite shows. Red Venom. Raptor King says, please don't fuck birds, says Misuka. Professor Fox. Pro Tips Out of Context says, run out of things to post. We'll come back soon. Play the ASPCA song to get Rem health insurance. PJ Turtle. Bockwell Musico. Oh, Rem, says Misuka disappointed. Next week's collab with Shonen Flop will end with someone eating the icky cookie. My favorite dinosaur is a Triceratops. Misuka will think of a Patreon name right after I clean up all these dead, Misuka, says Misuka, putting on her rubber gloves. Misuka says Mikasa. Mikeka 7 Hierto, making Remy Boy watch Kino's Journey, the 2003 one, the good one. Macaroni Uchisaw, Lucky Star is the King of Moe. Link Joe Girl, Lenerd 98, Cassidy, Jax, Jam Hands, Jake Dent. It's Rem and Rainbow, says Misuka. I will never get Maurice of the Diamond, now I cry. I'm an Accelerator fan, says Misuka. I will be on episode 372, says Misuka. I tripped over my dongs and thongs. I forgot to change my name last week. Oops. I can't believe I made an account for this. Hot Wheels Acceleracers is the best anime. Glenn Michael Dolan. G-Thing72 from the Fern. Farmer Weeb wants to know, what do you call a ghost's erection? A booner.
Christ.
It's real bad.
Stop.
Fantide, Erica McCorkle, Elisha and the Bears, says Misuka. Don't shock the hamster, says Misuka. Dana Madrid, says Misuka. Darth Gator, Danielle Riot, Daddy Rum Tummy Bedtime Story, says Misuka. Clyde, Calderias, I don't know, I fucked it, I'm sorry. Cut myself and scream for the insanity. Comrade JC, Cheese Monkey, Cat Girls are best girls, so give me them cute little paws. Brockhard for Jew dudes, except I'm not gonna piss on the earth. Boring Siren, Blackout Drunk Before Butt Stuff, says Misuka. Bitch Love Cannons, Bento Kato, Anti-Chicken Boy. And every day that Raven comes to visit, says Misuka. Amazing Muffin, AJ Tunnels, Aisha Gucci, Alios, a Moe piece of trash. And now we move on to the Boy Wizard tier. What are they going to get this week, Sean?
I mean, I could keep it simple and just give them some Shakespeare.
Makes sense. And we start with, whoops, I forgot to change my username for a month and called Sean a cuck for a month.
They get the Tempest, just to start off easy.
Wherefore art thou, Remio? I crave thine big hole. How fitting. How fitting.
Wow.
They
Jesus.
knew.
Like, I swear, sometimes our patrons are fucking psychic.
This one was tipped off.
Which is hilarious, considering, you know, like, I didn't tell anybody beforehand. They can have Hamlet.
Weak some shit asking for Darling in the Franks.
How about King Lear?
Umbersite.
How about Antony and Cleopatra?
Truck-coon operator number 42.
How about the Merry Wives of Windsor?
Together, everyone together. Come on, let's have some fun, says Misuka.
Measure for Measure.
The Strange Man is saddened by Dr. Jones' death.
Let's go with... How about the Two Gentlemen of Verona?
That Mouse Girl.
Comedy of Errors.
Spoon Man the Aristocrat.
Much Ado About Nothing.
Spooky, scary Sammy Casey's You Shiver with Antissa.
Midsummer's Night Dream.
Patient.
You good?
Yeah, you cut it off.
I know. Well, hey, look, it was bound to happen eventually. But they still get the same one.
Silent secondary.
Merchant of Venice.
Scourge has no sleep in an Oreo. Now, good luck.
Taming of the Shrew.
Roscop.
All's well that ends well.
Monogatari is a masterpiece, Miska said with a poised look.
How about Richard 2?
Miska thinks Sean will want to show Rem the Monogatari series, says Miska, while Miska runs around.
How about Richard the 3rd?
Miska thinks Rem needs to watch the Monogatari series, says Miska, as Miska nods in agreement.
How about Henry VIII?
Miska is a regulation listener that used to listen to Face Jam, but now listens 100% Eat, says Miska.
Titus Andronicus.
Mike.
Romeo and Juliet.
Miguel De Leon.
Julius Caesar.
It's time for the Monogatari series with toothbrushes and vampires, says Miska, as Miska nods in agreement.
Mackie Beth.
It's January and time for the Monogatari series, says Miska, as Miska brushes Miska's teeth.
Othello.
Hidden Otaku.
Coriolanus.
Gundam, it's like 00, but I think it may be Infinity. Gundam Infinity.
No, it is Gundam. It is, yeah. No, it's not Infinity.
Just 00?
Yeah.
Alright, Gundam 00 greater than G Gundam.
Let's go with King John.
Dracula United member Captain Beagleboy.
Henry IV Part 1.
Crosskirk.
You'll never guess it. Henry IV Part 2.
Crimson Reapers just because of the sides.
Henry V.
Carver 271.
Henry VI Part 1.
Butler Rat heard Railgun Season 2 for the bird, says Miska from afar. Last week, Lindsay asked for Daddy Sephiroth, so I'm currently drawing that.
Henry VI Part 2.
Blood Cell thinking about changing his name to Power Cell, but is worried about the mitochondria joke, says Miska.
Henry VI Part 3.
Beethoven 1201.
Edward III.
Animated Z.
Let's go with... Didn't I do 12th Night? I don't think I did.
Also, you get the big hole.
The Winter's Tale.
Alpha Papa Palpatine.
Let's go with... Did I do Comedy of Errors? I don't think I did.
You're so good at keeping track.
Look, man, I did them out of order like a fool because I wanted to give them variation.
All Father Dreads the TikTok ban on January 19th. Oh, and something is also happening on the 20th. Not important, though. How mysterious.
Very strange. Very spooky. I mean, you know, the play that theoretically exists, but nobody is really certain if it does. Love Labor's One.
Then we have Excalibur from the United K. I'm going to California.
How about The Two Noble Kinsmen?
And now we move on to the inappropriate Joey Wheeler tier. This week, Sean, as Joey Wheeler, will be reading the first line of a famous Shakespearean monologue, and I, as Joey Wheeler, will tell you how that applies to your life.
All right.
We start with, this is your weekly reminder to check the Anime Out of Context Blue Sky account. All right, let's see. All right, let's see. They posted a new year, new to-do list. Sean posting keep to a streaming schedule, show Rem, Dandadon, hashtag One Nut Rollins, be a professional podcaster by following at Anime Pod. And then Remington, avoid watching bad anime. That's high on my to-do list. But I have already, I have fucked it. Avoid watching good anime. Ideally, I would avoid just watching all anime. And gain 1,000 subs for, hey, youtube.com/@Remington Chase. Hey, it allowed me to shill. Thank you thank you to our Blue Sky for allowing me to shill my
Which,
YouTube.
again, we do not run.
if you enjoy horror video essays, check me out.
Yeah, just be sure to watch the whole video. Like,
yeah, look, here's the rule. If you go to my YouTube, all right? If you go to my YouTube, don't click on a video and leave. If you click on a fucking video, then you gotta watch it all the way through. You can leave the room, but you have to have it play, because if you click on it and leave, then the YouTube algorithm, it shows up to my house, all right, and it shanks me in the kidney, all right? It wants to kill me if you do that. Don't let that happen.
Yeah, I also... I suppose my shilling is the streaming thing, I guess.
Oh, yeah,
That's
yeah.
me.
Yeah, don't worry, it chilled.
Yeah, right, just making sure.
So, what is the first line of a monologue they're gonna get?
Probably my favorite monologue. They're gonna get, now is the winner of our discontent, may glorious summer by this son of York. And I could do the rest, but I'd rather not right now, because Dylan would kill me, because this is already a long episode.
Ain't that the truth?
Yeah.
And how that applies to your life is I mean, very literally, you're just very dissatisfied with how cold it is. It's too cold, and you don't like it. Next up, we got Spiffy's Mousona.
Let's see. Let's go with... You said the opening specifically, yeah?
Yeah.
Oh man, Hamlet. I forgot how Hamlet's doesn't really work for that. It's funny as fuck though. Who's there?
Unfortunately for you, you are going to fall into the dangerous, tragic, and delusional belief of gang stalking. And that's gonna take up a lot of your 2025. It's just handling that. Next up we got Rowdy-O.
My app is taking forever. Man, I'm nailing it. Here's the opening for King Lear. I thought the king had more affected the Duke of Albany than Cornwall.
Yeah, that's all right. Oh yeah, perfect. Of course, yeah, that's the one you're throwing at me.
Yeah, that's the funniest one.
All right, and Rowdy, how that is gonna apply to your life is well, when you invade Cornwall, man, I think you're gonna nail it. Last but not least, we have, hey Sean, I'm a hot commodity, but for you, I'm free of charge.
How about the opening of Macbeth, just to round things out a little bit? When shall we three meet again? In thunder, lightning, or in rain?
I mean, hey, congratulations, you are gonna have an outdoors orgy. So,
wait,
that's something to celebrate.
Listener, wait, hold on.
Thank you all for tuning in. If you want to reach out for a comment, question, feedback, or recommendation, you can tweet us at AnimeConPod on Twitter, or send an email over onto animeoutofcontext@gmail.com.
Once again, guys, thank you all so much for tuning in. We love and appreciate you very, very much. And as always, don't fuck your sister.
Do 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 do. Hey baby, are you Picasso's dick? Because you are messy, haunting, and veiny.